And then she's like, can I ask you, if I did something bad, will I go to jail? And I'm like, well, what'd you do? And she's like, it's really bad. You promise not to tell anybody. And I'm like, yeah, I promise. What happened? And she said, I had to feed it. And I said, feed what? She said, I had to feed the demons. And I said, what the Because he's crazy, and now she's crazy. That doesn't happen. And I said, well, what'd you do? And she said, I had to feed it babies. I was throwing babies off the balcony. And I'm like, what the No!
Bless the Lord, O my soul, and all that is within me, bless his holy name.
I was not planning to release a long video this time, but there's one story shared by an officer that I'd like to share here with you. I'm pretty sure it's more of a case of mental health, but still let me know what you think in the comments below. But previously I've shared a clip of Father Reheal with you, how sometimes people with mental illness come to them saying they have these demons inside of them, and listening to this story just makes me think this could be what the priests are facing, to determine whether one is really facing a mental health issue or really a case of possession. But anyway, please listen to this.
I hate even talking about it because it gives me anxiety. But anyhow, this story happened at like 4 o'clock in the morning. But this dude goes to the gas station in town and he says, hey, I need to use your phone. I need to call 911. It's an emergency. So the clerk's like, yeah, okay. So the guy calls 911 and says people broke into his home and his wife's still there. And that he was going to go back to the house. So, I mean, there's already kind of some red flags with that. I mean, that just doesn't seem logical that you leave your wife, or that multiple people are going to break into the house, and it's usually like one or two at the most. I respond. I was the first one on scene. I pull up and I see this little tiny house. It looks more like a hunting cabin. And I didn't know it, but the guy was sitting in his truck right in the driveway when I pulled up, and he hops out and he's got a gun, and he's an older man. I mean, he's in his 70s, and he is wigging the out. I can't even understand what he's saying. He's hysterical. I'm like, dude, just calm down. I'm on your side. Like, hey, be cool. Like, you're not thinking clearly. Like, just look at me. We're good. Just give me your hands. Calm down. I need your gun. All right. You're not in the right state of mind right now to have that. Just give me your gun. It's okay. You're not in trouble. So he gives me the gun. I unload it. I make it safe. I put the gun in here. Put the bullets on the hood of his truck. And then at this time, another deputy shows up. We're kind of coming up with a game plan, but like, we can see in the house. It's a little house. All the lights, or all the shades are from the windows, and all the lights are on. You can see in. There's no commotion. There's nobody walking around. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. The guy's like, okay, come in the house with me, please. And we're like, yeah. No, we'll go with you. And I'll never forget this. He says, I need to know before you go into the home, do you believe in God? And I'm like, yeah, of course I do. And then he says, good, then that means you believe in the devil. And I went, what the f-? So we start walking towards the house. No signs of forced entry. He opens up the door and he says, pardon me for all the candles. I have to have every square inch in the floor with candles. Because that's the only way to keep it out. There was no candles on the floor. None. So we go in this house, and this guy's like tiptoeing, like, because he doesn't want to step on these candles, and there's no candles there. So I'm like, okay, this is super weird. And we start looking around, me and the other deputy, and like at every window and at the front door, there's a shotgun or a rifle. And I'm like, no. I'm like, dude, hey, respectfully, I know this is your home, but like, we need to make sure this is safe for us. There's no commotion going on, and we're literally in the living room on the main floor, and I can see the kitchen and the dining room, and I can see a bathroom. It's so small, and then upstairs there's a loft. That's it. That's the whole house. So I don't think this is a break-in now. We're for sure 100% this is like a mental issue. So he's like, yeah, no, take the guns. So we take the guns, we unload them, make them safe, and I see 3 spent shotgun shells on the floor. And I said, were you shooting? And he's like, yeah, I was shooting at the demons outside. I'm like, dude, what the f-? In the middle of the night, I look up, and standing above, like by the loft, looking down, is his wife. And she's super old. She's like high 70s, early 80s. She's wearing this really long white gown looking thing. She's got long straggly hair. Now, regardless, she's probably a sweet old lady. So I'm like, we need her on our side because committals are a bitch. Like, you need to go voluntarily. If you don't go voluntarily, it's a pain in the ass. So I'm like, maybe she can talk some sense into him and get him to be like, yeah, you need to go to the hospital. So we already got the ambulance en route to come get this guy checked out. So I go up the stairs to talk to her. And I'm like, hey, ma'am, sorry to bug you. Your husband's kind of wigging out. And she's like, oh, I know. He's been like this the last few days. I don't know what to do with him. And I'm like, hey, I'm on your side. You help me. I'll help you. And she's like, yep. And then she's like, can I ask you, if I did something bad, will I go to jail? And I'm like, well, what'd you do? And she's like, it's really bad. You promise not to tell anybody. And I'm like, yeah, I promise. What happened? And she said, I had to feed it. And I said, feed what? She said, I had to feed the demons. And I said, what the f-? Because he's crazy, and now she's crazy. That doesn't happen. And I said, well, what'd you do? And she said, I had to feed it babies. I was throwing babies off the balcony. And I'm like, what the f-? No! That she's been feeding babies to this demon or the devil to get him to go away. And she's like, I feel terrible about it. I just keep throwing the babies off the balcony onto the floor where the candles are. Two people saying the exact same crazy shit. Like, I've done this hundreds of times. That's not how this works. So I go down and I tell the deputy what she said. I broke the promise, and he's like, okay, I'll go talk to her. And he goes up, and then he talks to her, and he comes down, and he's like, yeah, she's crazy too. And now this old man's wigging out. He's like dancing around, looking outside the window, freaking out. He's like, hey, get out of here. Go, get out of here. And he's like, aren't you guys going to do anything? He's like, shoot at him. And he's like trying to run outside. I'm like, no, don't go outside. And he's like, don't you see him? Don't you see him? And I'm like, I don't see anything. Tell me what you see. And he's like, do you see the devil and the demons dancing around the fire eating the babies? Go save the babies. Save the babies. And I'm like, dude, there's nothing there. I'm sorry, but like, you need to come back to reality. And he's like, now you just pissed him off. And I said, what are you talking about? And he's like, they're all looking at you now. They heard you, and they're pissed off, and they're all looking at you now. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, oh shit, they're coming at us. They're running towards us. And I'm like, well, shut the shades. Like, stop. And I'm like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right, just look at me. This can't be real. The ambulance shows up. I'm like, get this guy some happy juice. I'm like, praise Jesus, hallelujah. And I'm like, dude, you have to understand the shit you're saying does not make sense. It's not rationalizing. It cannot be real. And then finally he's like, you're right. It can't be real. I have to be hallucinating. And he's like, take me. I want to feel safe anyway. So give me some juice. Take me to the hospital. That's the only way I'm going to be sleep and feel safe. So the ambulance did that. We found out the old lady just, she'd been in the nursing home for like the last year. She'd just been out a couple weeks, that maybe he fed her head full of shit and she started to believe it too. So they took her, I'm assuming, and helped her out. And me and the other deputy were like, let's get the out of here. So I went home. I told my baby mama, I'm like, look, shit's going down. You need to like douse this place in holy water. I don't know what I brought home, and I'm sorry for the mud I just tracked through the house, but that's not important right now. So then I sat in the hot tub and I had chicken nuggets and then a shot of whiskey and then took some Benadryl because that was the only way I was sleeping that night.
I'd just like to share this clip of Father Joseph Iannuzzi again here with you because I've seen so many comments coming in that are saying all kinds of things about the Virgin Mary, a lot of which are very hard to read, most of which filled with contempt, anger, and confusion. And it is in a way understandable because there are so many non-Catholics watching the videos here. And I'm trying to be charitable whenever I reply to those comments or just simply ignore them instead. In time you'll understand, but just know that the person you're insulting and mocking happens to also be your mother. And there's one other being who really hates her, and we've all listened to a lot of priests talking about him. Please listen to this.
The late exorcist of Rome, with whom I worked for several years, and actually who reared me, trained me, mentored me in exorcisms, Father Gabriel Amorth of the Archdiocese of Rome, made the following statement. It is above all women who are stricken by the demonic because they are more easily exposed than men to the danger of the demonic. He states, I have encountered numerous cases of women who, because of demonic possession, were forced to prostitute themselves. For this reason, they have no moral blame. The women preyed upon by Satan are especially those who are young and of pleasing appearance. During some exorcisms, the demon with a terrifying voice has roared that he seeks to enter women rather than men in order to take revenge on Mary, because she has been humiliated he has been humiliated by her. Unquote. So if Satan targets woman, it is because Mary, the ark that bore the Redeemer, possesses an efficacious power that far exceeds that of other creatures, and who is holier than all other creatures combined, and who will defeat Satan. That Mary is the woman who transcends all other human beings combined in holiness. So Mary occupies a very powerful role in these end times, and because she is going to be the one to bring about the era of peace with the Holy Spirit, as she is the spouse of the Spirit, Satan seeks to attack her through other women, because he's humiliated by her who is a woman. But even though Satan targets women more than men because of this, she, the woman, the new Eve, and mother of the church in the new order of grace, will communicate to her children and other women the graces God imparts to her. As the ark that bore the divine Redeemer, Mary participated in the mission of redemption more than anyone else. Because she gave birth to the sustenance, or she gave birth, I should say, to the divine substance of God. Certainly God preceded Mary, he's eternal, but she gave birth to him in time, and that divine substance she gave birth to in time. Satan's contempt for her is unbounded. Satan did all in his power to dissuade her from carrying out the plan of redemption beside her divine Son. This is why he forced her to make an arduous journey to Egypt, to experience rejection at an inn in her time of expectancy, to receive into her arms the lifeless body of her Son and endure many years of solitude and separation from the one who gave life its meaning. Satan caused Mary immense sufferings in order to dissuade her from standing by the cross of redemption and from carrying out her role as co-redemptrix.
Well then, that will be all for the video this time. And as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us. And hopefully all of you have learned so much from this video. And remember, if ever you have any feedback or suggestion, please let us know in the comments below. Anyway, if you like what we do and you'd like to support us, I left the link to our PayPal donation in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contributions, and prayers. And until the next one, thanks again for watching, and may God bless you.